There is a chicken stuck in my shop. Get out of here. All right, so it's the next day after we just started the second two-stroke V8 that we got, and I saw one of the comments when you guys asked if I'm giving up on the original one. No, I'm not. I simply just own two now. So these engines, they are not that common. They're not impossible to find, but they are very difficult. When they do show up, usually people try to buy them because they're, I think the last year they were made was either 92 or 95. So the newest one was made before I was ever born. So they're very difficult to find, and now we have two. So when we put one in a car or a rat rod, we will have a spare engine on backup, because this isn't like if you've got a 350 Chevy or a 302, you blow it up, you go get a junkyard truck engine or something. It's anything to get you back on the road. So, plus this one here, the new one, the one that I just got, it appears that all of the ignition modules and everything in it are brand new. So that's good too. And the CDI box, this CDI box here, which mine over there, everything on it, all the ignition stuff was actually like it crumbled. Some of it actually just dissolved. So I had, like, from me not knowing anything about this stuff and starting with that one where everything just disintegrated, man, I was like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. Like, it's got a flywheel and it's made of aluminum and it is an engine. But so now we have one that works, so we're going to continue to use the original one as our mock-up, because if any of you guys have ever mocked stuff up, welding, grinding, I mean, you guys know as much as I do, this engine's gonna need cleaned fully. So as much as you cover everything up, there's always grinding dust, metal shavings, metal flakes. So to have that all around that engine while I was building it, we would have had to take it apart anyway. So we're gonna continue using the original engine and use it for mock-up, everything like that, and then swap all the parts when they're finished to this new one that we got, and it'll just work. It'll just fire up and work. So that being said, I'm gonna get into it and start taking the intake manifold off. I guess before I take it off, I'll record the view. So here is the position of how it originally sits. Cylinders are stacked on top of each other. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, with these carburetors, one carburetor for each cylinder. And this is the top of the engine. So when I first started this, a lot of people were saying, why are you putting the back of the engine at the front here? Well, that's because this is the top, which now that I have two of them, you can really see how it is. This is exactly how it sits on a boat, in an outboard. This is an outboard engine. It's an Evinrude or Johnson OMC V8. Well, a car is typically laid on its side, exactly like that. So when you do that though, the flywheel is at the front and it doesn't have a crankshaft, the mount like a regular car. It just has what looks like a harmonic balancer, like that. So nothing for anything to mount up. And these do not have thrust bearings, which is made to take weight for the crankshaft to go forward or back. They don't have those. So to run a manual transmission, you would blow the engine apart. Like, it would just chew itself up. But you can just see how this one is laid down. And in many people, a lot of the car enthusiasts, you'll say, well, that looks pretty normal. But then for the boat guys, that's normal. And you can just see how much stuff was removed. Like, this one's just bare, all of that stuff. And goes into all that wiring. So without further ado, we're gonna pull this intake off here and I'm gonna try to finish it up. My friend did make those O2 bungs, so I'm gonna plant those in. And I never bought a hone. A hone is the word I'm looking for. And I want to run a hone down all those tubes and deburr them. So, yes. Here we go. Lifting the engine off the stand. Maybe. What? Oh, I'm a dummy. Yeah, it's not coming off. I forgot there's a harmonic balancer attached. So that's pretty big. All right, so I cut that front bracket out so that I can slide the engine out. Maybe not. Maybe we need a pry bar. All right. Try this. Get out of there. Get out of there. Let's go. Do that number. And then bleed. There it is. So now I'm gonna move this. Pull this baby out. And bring this engine stand, attempt at least, get it in. Alright, well I'm gonna bolt that up. Due to the weight of this engine, I have to put this bar on it just to get enough leverage to spin it over. And I already started to, and it started to leak and dump all this rust and dirt from the shop. But yeah, that's it. Makes it look like this engine's heavy. It's not, it's just odd. Like if you look at the center point at the center here, all the weight's on one end. This thing is actually incredibly light, because you got to think of a regular engine. Typically, listen to my face. Typically, engines used to be like cast iron or anything like that, like a 289, 350 Chevy, everything like that. It wasn't until modern era really that aluminum engines were mass produced. And then a normal gas engine has cylinder heads, intake manifold, all this other stuff. This is just aluminum. Me and my brother almost lifted this engine alone, just the two of us, but it was too awkward. We also had that big metal plate that I built on the back of it. But enough of me talking, I'm gonna pull this intake I built off and measure it, and then I'm going to order the ball hones to go through this. So what happens today, I'm gonna order those ball hones, and that Amazon usually is pretty good. I got the Prime, so 2 to 3 days, I should have those. And then we can just hone this out, because before I take it off, I'm gonna let you look down in here and see what I'm talking about. So you can see all this burr, or whatever you would call that. All that metal though. And then you can see some weld berries, which is just balls of metal, and it's full of cobwebs already. Balls of metal from MIG welding. You can see a lot of them there down on the ground on the bottom. of it and up there on the side. See all those little balls? Those are little balls of metal from welding. So I'm gonna order, this is 2 1/4 inch inside diameter. So I'm gonna order a 2 1/4 inch inside that's 180 grit. The $240 one was more expensive, and then the $120 one I think is just too aggressive. And then I think that's a 2 inch inside diameter pipe here, the one that goes this one. So I'm gonna order a 2 inch as well and run it through these, all the way down through these, really clear it up. And right now I'm thinking of building a cap. So instead of putting something in there and then welding it flush so that more debris could fall in, I think I'm gonna build a cap that'll slide over and then weld on the outside. It won't look as cool, but no one will ever see this. If I had a TIG welder, that'd be much better. We're leaking. And I still gotta cut this, because remember when I did that? Bloop, there's the bolt. Bloop. But I'm gonna pull it off. There we have it. Homemade intake, and that's exactly where it goes, where those carbs are. So kind of really get a good view of it now. All those carbs, just replaced them with an intake manifold. So here's the intake, and I'm telling you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna finish welding all this and get this all lined up, and then so this is at an angle because it was for a throttle body. So I was trying to find if anyone, the injector thing, it's fuel injection on this isn't going to happen with actual injectors. It's just I need help with it, and I can't find anyone who knows. Even I was thinking a Raspberry Pi, even take a tack signal or something. Someone, because a fuel injector is just on, off, on, off, on, off. So we could just send a signal to all of them to turn them on and off. But that's tech stuff. I don't really know. But I don't know anyone that is techie but also understands this stuff, because I don't want to pay that. I'm not putting thousands of dollars into this thing. I mean, right now I'm in it cheap. Like, talk about regular car stuff, cheaper than even a regular car engine and stuff. I'm gonna build a plate that goes here that bolts to this, and it turns to make this flat, and I'm bolting my Holley Sniper EFI on it. I need about 4 or 5 Holley Sniper EFIs, that carburetor, and I need a lot of Holley stuff. Like, I need harness and everything to run that engine that's in this truck, the 5.4. I need one to run that engine there, and I need a Sniper EFI that I did put in the Mustang, so I'm actually pulling that back off because I've needed that thing and I put it on here. So that's going to set this car back a lot, but because I need a Holley Sniper EFI on this for the turbo build. Now I'm going to run a Holley Sniper EFI for that, because this engine over here has a tack signal. So I'm going to give the tack signal to it and run it. And my theory for the fuel and everything is, never mind, I'm not going to get into it. We'll get into it when I get there. I just need to keep focused. Because to be honest, man, I'm getting kind of burnt out. I want to get back to building Fords. This is cool, but it's also taking me like 3 months to get this far. And I just want to get back to building my Fords, man. That right there looks like a pile. But for you MN12, FN10 guys, I have something insane. Like, you're not even going to guess what is going on. It's not an engine. It is something insane that's happening with those cars that I'm going to plan to build. And I've got my K code over there that I need to work on that. So I need to get this project wrapped up, go get a rat rod and get this engine running. This one runs, so once I put that carburetor setup on it, I'll just invert it figure out the cooling system, boom, done. So hopefully only a couple more weeks. But I'm gonna get to welding that. I'll probably just weld a lot of it off camera just to not bore everyone. Weld it and then build that plate and then bolt my sniper EFI on it and run it just like that, right on that stand that we got. There's a lot of crap in my garage right there with the turbo. I'll remove the turbo too, but shablam, let's weld it. I just got these two hones in and I flipped this around, welded up anywhere that may have had gaps or not fully welded, and it looks like doo-doo, but that's that flex core. And then I was using this file, this round file, and just kind of going down in here and cleaning them up as good as I can. Some of them have some extra material. I'll show you the worst one. See, they're all not that bad actually. This is one of the worst ones with that extra material right there, but the absolute worst one is, where is it? I think this one here. But, so this small hone we have here, I'm going to run down these ones and take off all the weld berries. One good example of one is right there. So it's that little ball of metal. That's what happens when you weld. So we're gonna run this down the small ports, and this one here we're going to run straight down these. And I'll try to show that one. Just clear those up. And then for this, I'll run that same hone down here too. Try to clean it up some. Let's see, you can kind of see it, but we'll get it all cleaned as best as we can. Well, I say we, it's just me. I say that, I do that a lot. And then I'm gonna cap these on the back, cut this one. So this was started to bend, the pipe started to turn here. So I'll cut this flush, cap it, and then before we put it back on, I'm gonna run my block sander over this and just try to get it as smooth as I can. Still have to build a carburetor adapter here. For now, I've been going back and forth. I know I just talked about the EFI and everything, but we're just gonna take this Edlebrock 650 or whatever this is right here off the V8 lawnmower, and I'm gonna bolt that on and run it. So I'm gonna hone that stuff and then weld those caps, probably paint this section pretty soon. I don't know, probably just paint it silver so it'll look exactly like it does. So as you can see, this isn't long enough, and I was looking for, there's like a shaft that can go in your drill that would go over this, and it has a set screw, tighten the set screw, and it would clamp this. But I don't have one, and it would be days before I could get one. So I'm gonna weld this 1/4 inch socket onto it, and then Then I'm gonna stick this in it as this extension, and then I've got a piece that can go in my drill, and that'll get me pretty far. So I'm gonna ruin this socket, but I've got 2 more, so it should be okay. I just used that file right there and filed all these pretty good. So they're pretty flush, and I'm gonna finish it up with that block sander. But, which one is it? This one here has a lot of weld berries yet. That's a really good picture of them there. All those little pieces of metal. So, see them right there, a big cluster of them. So I'm gonna try it the best I can, like with this screwdriver, and scrape back and forth like that, and then run that hone down through it some more. But it's coming along great. Homemade intake manifold out of sheet metal. I mean, this is huge ports. I mean, that will flow a lot of air. Each one of these is for a single cylinder. This is a 4-liter. So they're 4-liter V8s. So those big of ports for a 4-liter is just massive. There it is upside down. And theoretically, I could run it upside down if I really wanted. So I just had an idea, and I know some people have told me this in comments and in person. You know, they said, why don't you just run the engine? It's a 2-stroke. Like I just said, I could run it upside down. Why don't you just run it upside down? And I wanted to run it right side up because it would look normal, and it actually says V8 on the top, and it just looks awesome. But now I'm thinking, now that I'm changing gears and going with a rat rod, and I did choose a rat rod. I'm selling the Datsun, so if you want it, find me on Facebook and message me. But it'll be way easier to build this in a rat rod, and I know that this series is interesting and everything, but to be honest, I want to get back to my other stuff, my other projects, and get back to building Fords, because I have some really good ideas for Fords to build. So, like, amazing. So if you guys follow the channel, I'm not going to spoil it, but I don't even know how to explain it. It is just amazing stuff that I've been doing in the backgrounds, and I do have some of it filmed. We have to edit it and then load it to YouTube. So when the series of stuff comes out, you'll actually be watching footage that I may have done like 3 months ago already. But, where was I? Here's where I was. Imagine a carburetor here and a carburetor here. Just twin carburetors, and those cylinders shooting down at the ground in a rat rod. So each the cylinders would be pointing towards the ground with carburetors mounted right on top. I mean, that could work. So if I have the fuel pooling problem, like if the fuel just is sitting on the bottom of the intake and the engine can't suck it up, because no matter what, the intake engines always create a vacuum. It is always sucking. So it should, and the fuel should be atomizing, so it's mixed in with air. So as long as there's a vacuum for the cylinders, it should be sucking in air. But like I said, if I do have a fuel pooling problem, then we'll build a second intake and flip the engine, which that would mean that my entire transmission mount that I built would be inaccurate because the transmission would be upside down. So we'd have to fully redo that whole assembly. But that was just me thinking right now. I was like, man, now that it's a rat rod, I could just do that. But because another reason why I didn't want to is look at that was the transmission, so you have so much engine below it. So this would all be below, where's my hand? All this would be below your transmission. So your transmission would actually be at like shoulder level, which would mean your drive shaft would be such a severe angle. It'd be so deadly and dangerous. But who knows? But for a rat rod, I mean, you could do anything. I thought the battery died. Nope. It is fully charged. This is a fully charged battery, and tried another one, and it just doesn't work. So this brand new drill just broke. There's the old one that broke, and then I bought this one to replace it, and it's broke. Can't get it to spin or nothing. Tried changing the gears, tried moving this thing. I tried to even help it by moving this while I pulled the trigger. Tried reverse, forwards. Dang. I used my brother's drill, Walmart drill. So, but ran this down here just a little bit. Try to get some light. Jeez, this is really hard to film. But you can see all the crap that already has come up. Oh my gosh. But that looks awesome. But yeah, guys. I mean, this is hand ported and polished now. So, but I pretty much gotta call it quits right now. I gotta go do some stuff. So I'll be back. The drill started to work again, so that's great. And I ran the hone down these an immense amount of times now. And there still is some burrs that I can't, like, look, there's one right there. A bunch of small ones. But we got it pretty good. I just traced a circle here. I'm gonna cut 2 of those real quick and then weld them right on the back here. Cover these babies up. And then our intake's done, except for the carb little adapter. All right, I'm gonna cut those circles. Well, there it is. So those caps are welded on the back. I'm gonna paint it after I clean it. And this might be a pretty crude intake. Like, people might look at this thing and be like, what in the world, dude? That's like made of exhaust tubing. But, oops, my bad. But I did it. I'm proud of it. Looks awesome. Worst case, I'll just mount it on the wall. It is less than optimal painting conditions right now. It's cloud covery. It's actually sprinkling, so this is actually getting wet, so I better hurry up. But I've got this Battleship gray paint I bought at Tractor Supply, and I painted a transmission in it. It's kind of flat and boring, but this will be on the bottom of the engine. Probably gonna run, but this was flash rusting in some spots. I'm not even masking it because I still gotta sand the gasket surfaces, and then I'm gonna run a hone down the inside again. So we're not even masking it. I'm getting wet though from sprinkles. This is just to make it somewhat better. Oh, blown over. It's actually turning out pretty good. Looks awesome. Got paint all over my finger. I got blisters on these fingers. Okay, there it is. It's full of water droplets in the paint. It's all water. It started to totally pick up while I was out there. But check that out. The homemade sheet metal intake. This is the second one I've done. Anyone that knows the channel or anything knows that back in the day I had made a sheet metal intake for a 2003 Mustang Cobra supercharger to bolt it onto a 4 valve like this. That is a B head, so the previous style of cylinder heads. And I had it sticking out of the hood of a Mercury Cougar, and it was made of sheet metal. It was actually made of bed frame, and I had just cut the angle iron and used it. But I got it just sitting here, not pushed down at all. I'm gonna let it dry. All right, well, to record in my shop right now, it's raining as you can hear, but the shop is uninsulated, so you can't hear anything I'm saying. It's just blam, 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 so loud. But the chicken in the beginning of this video died. A fox came in and ripped its head off, and its left wing killed it, and then it stole another one of my chickens. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of finishing the intake finally. That's been a while. Next week I'm gonna put the carburetor on it, flip that engine over, bolt it back onto that stand, and we're gonna try to start it. So that'll be next week. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.